What's going on? Welcome back to Trending Stocks. Today we're going to talk to you about Faraday Future. I want to go over some of the current data points, what shorts did, and potentially why Faraday did go up today. So I'm going to go over all the things that you need to know, but first make sure to hit that thumbs up. And with that, let's get right to it. So Faraday did go up a very impressive 73.02% today, capped around 60 cents, and I think even at that time it equates to around 125%. I did do a video kind of roughly around this time period, and I said that it wasn't actually a short squeeze because a lot of people were just kind of screaming short squeeze, blah, 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 but that wasn't necessarily the case. At the time of me doing that video, shorts were increasing 3.5 million shares. They eventually did admit defeat and kind of realized that they were playing a losing game today. They did return about 3.14 million shares. 18.79% of the free float is being shorted, and that works out to be 82.14 million shares overall are being shorted. Cost to borrow average is 12.29%, and then utilization 95.3%. But as you can kind of see right here, shorts were based on the teal line. Shorts were increasing quite significantly first thing. So once again, it was not necessarily a squeeze up until kind of right here. This is where they started to kind of return a small amount. But today there was no news associated to Faraday, no SEC filings, no new YouTube videos on Twitter or X, whatever the hell you want to call it. YT did do a 2-minute and 40-second video, so I'm going to play this near the tail end of the video, but once again, mind you, it's not in English, so you do have to read the subtitles. And in here, he initially starts off by saying that he's kind of doing this video on his own accord, so it's for him, not on behalf of Faraday, even though he kind of talks on how it would benefit Faraday and blah, 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 but still, he kind of talks on how the Rivian partnership is good for the EV sector, and he kind of gives some subtle hints on how Faraday could possibly have a very similar agreement, kind of alluding to UAE. He doesn't actually talk about that in reality, but I think in general it does make sense. As much as I do agree with the bears that Faraday's vehicles are rather expensive, their technology is on point, and potentially this is where a bridge with an American OEM could come to fruition. And ultimately, I'm going to do a video tomorrow talking on some possible candidates, and it might not actually be as kind of very obvious as what you might think, because I think a lot of people might think Ford, GM. That's not probably the case, only because those larger entities, they like to buy things 10 cents on the dollar. So they'd rather Faraday go belly up, and then that way they can just buy and kind of take it over at that stage. So again, stay tuned for the video tomorrow, but nonetheless, I'm going to play this near the tail end of the video, so stay tuned for that. When it comes down to one of the two options why Faraday did truly go up, it has to do with yesterday. So for those of you that watched my video yesterday, you'll notice that there was one very large candle that was one entity, clearly, that bought roughly, I think it was $210,000 to $250,000 in call options. November expiry date, 50-cent strike price. Very abnormal. That was completely out of the blue. And even today, there was 2.17 million in calls, 1.12 million in puts. So dollar value wise was very high. But what happened yesterday, someone bought knowing that something was going to come. And based on the volume that did happen today, so 646.7 million shares being traded, 354.6 is the average. That's not basic amateur stuff. That is big money moving in. So potentially one of the two things, again, I like to give you the no BS answer. So this is why I'm giving you one of two options that it could be. This in reality is rather bullish. And so ultimately it does show that maybe some larger entity associated to the UAE might be buying in for a potential stake in Faraday. And yesterday might have been the precursor for that option. And you can kind of tell that right here. I'll do the 2-day, but it does merge it all together. But this one candle was what I was talking about. Just subtract the bearishness right there. So in reality, that is the bullish aspect on why it did go up. And plus there was this article as well that's kind of talking on the exact same thing. Just how there's the meeting that did occur, but at this stage in the game, it's just all speculation. So you have a lot of people saying that it's a done deal. It's not yet. So don't really jump to conclusions. So when it comes down to it, the option B it's not necessarily the most optimistic, but as I've mentioned in the past, I do have a lot of experience dealing with companies similar to Faraday that have a lot of warrants out there. And for those of you that kind of tuned into my live stream, you'll notice my little chart that I had. So those warrants ultimately are very damaging the lower the stock price it goes, because that does mean more shares. And so when it comes down to it, as you can kind of see, there still is quite a lot of outstanding warrants all the way back from June 2023, some August 2023, and I believe right here, February 2023, all of which are convertible. So when it comes down to those convertible notes, the lower the stock price, essentially once it's converted, this is where you generally do see quick spikes up in the stock price. So in reality, that could happen. Of course, 𝗪𝗧𝗪 did allude to them needing funding, even based on these latest 8Ks that were submitted right over here a couple days back. Over here, they do allude to that they need that UAE partnership to kind of help with financing. That way they can help with production and stuff like that. Once again, if you're kind of reading between the lines, that Faraday needs money. I think overall, a lot of us should realize that Faraday does need money, and them jumping from, what was it, like 52 million shares to the 439 outstanding shares that it is currently sitting at, that's just kind of the tip of the iceberg on potentially what might come. And so ultimately the negative side on why it might have actually gone up is because of warrants being converted. So again, you kind of have a positive and a negative, but both result in the stock price going up. Just we will find out tomorrow what it truly is, because if it is warrants, that is a momentary kind of bump up in the stock price. So that does mean the following day it does go down. Literally in time and time again, that's what happens. So in essence, we will find out tomorrow which one of the two options it is. If you do see a nice continuation of buying, then yes, a larger entity is out there buying Faraday. If you do see a very vicious pull down in the stock price, then that does mean whatever entity did convert is selling. So again, we'll just have to wait and see. I wish I had all the answers for you guys right now, but sometimes you just have to speculate on what is happening behind the scenes based on the available data. So all in all, let me know your thoughts on Faraday. Give yourself a shout out if you did buy, if you sold. What did you do with Faraday? I was lucky enough to buy yesterday. I didn't really catch the bottom. I think I bought in around 25 cents. So I'm happy with that. I didn't sell today. And yeah, honestly, I wish I kind of bought more. But at this stage in the game, when it was even at 25 cents, nobody could have projected what was going to happen. Even when you saw that abnormal call option that was purchased, anything could have happened from that. So once again, let me know your thoughts. Don't forget to hit that thumbs up. And like I said, I'll just quickly play this 2-minute video, and then yeah, we'll go from there.
这是一个非常聪明的投资产品设计、定价模式和付款节奏，对大众汽车非常有利。我今天想分享一下我个人的看法，不代表公司观点。
贾总，大众今天巨额投资的 Rivian， 您怎么看呀？
这确实是个产业的大新闻。 证明我们要更加的继续努力，让 FF 拥有的独特价值能够尽快的释放。大众宣布向 Rivian 投资了5个 billion， 其中呢30亿美金购买 Rivian 的上市公司股份，20亿成立合资公司，首批以无担保可转债的模式呢投资了10亿美金。这笔投资再次掀起了对 AIEV 产业价值投资的。
Okay, so one thing I just wanted to share with you, if there is a kind of a bridge with an OEM, American OEM, it won't be this type of joint ventureship that would be created. It would be directly with Faraday. Whereas if there is a UAE deal, this is where there could be a formation of a joint venture that would be a subsidiary. So it'd be that format. So if there is a bridging that would be occurring, it wouldn't be the same as Rivian and Volkswagen. So kind of just wanted to distinguish the difference between the two.
讨论 Rivian 的盘后和夜盘交易大涨。我认为大众集团重金投资 Rivian 主要是基于以下5点原因及可能的价值回报。第一，先进的软件技术和整车电动平台以及这些对大众集团的反哺。第二，电动皮卡车型和电动 SUV 车型。第三， 作为美国 𝗖𝗎V 公司的独特价值。第四，美国是全球 𝗖𝗎V 最大的蓝海市场。第五，大众50亿投资 Rivian 可能带来巨大的资本回报，这是一个非常聪明的投资产品设计、定价模式和付款节奏，对大众汽车非常有利。可能大众只需投入第一笔的10亿美金，就可能获得超额的回报，而这些挣的钱就可能足以投资接下来的那40亿美金。这也是美国 𝗖𝗎V 产业培养出的超级资本价值。传统汽车巨头对新兴的 𝗖𝗎V 公司的再一次巨额投资，让我更加坚定了 FF 的战略和价值。我认为 FF 拥有更为塔尖的 AI Hyper 6x4 Architecture 2.0 智能电动整车平台，以及独特的 AI 平台和先进的软件技术。Rivian 的车型主打塔腰市场，而与 Rivian 不同的是呢 ，FF 车型的规划会有更大的蓝海空间。一是 FF 品牌定位塔尖车型和塔尖市场，二是 FF 桥梁战略的第二品牌定位与放。
I kind of found this interesting. So, for those of you that are have been involved in Faraday for a while, they haven't been talking about the second brand for like ever until the whole UAE kind of scenario popped up. So I think it's the UAE or whatever subsidiary kind of is dealing with that is requesting Faraday to pivot, which in my opinion is pretty good for the company itself, but I think it's that entity that is requesting Faraday to pivot.
放量车型和大众市场 ，FF 现在的资本市场价值和真实价值是完全背离的。这笔投资也更加证明了美国 𝗖𝗎V 公司和市场的巨大潜力，以及产品和技术的领先性是全球巨头所追捧的。也正是我当时在美国创办 FF 的重要原因。我们一定会继续努力，尽快释放出 FF 巨大的潜力和无限的可能。
So yeah, let me know your thoughts on Faraday. Don't forget to hit that thumbs up. And with all that, appreciate all of you watching.